There is an unmitigated crisis that is underway in Canada right now. In the first 4 months of this year alone, 817,000 immigrants entered the country, including roughly 500,000 with work permits and nearly 200,000 student visas. This number is extraordinary. If this rate continues, that will mean that we'll take in 2.4 million people this year. By far, we have one of the craziest, out of control immigration rates in any country in the developed world, and there is no single issue that affects the quality of life of every Canadian more than the immigration rate, because there's not enough schools, there's not enough teachers, there's not enough hospitals, there's not enough doctors, there's not enough places to live, there's not enough jobs. Every budget from every public organization, municipality, province and territory, and the federal government in this country is stretched beyond its breaking point. The reason that this is happening is to artificially keep our desperately flailing GDP numbers above the recession line. But when you look at our GDP per capita, the growth of our country's GDP per capita over the last 10 years, it is among the almost dead last, I believe, in the OECD. It is incredible what's happening right now. This is a crisis. This is a full red alert. This is a disaster. There is no single issue that affects the quality of life of every single Canadian more than the immigration rate, because that's more people competing for every single service, every single place to live, every single job, and the economy and the services are not growing nearly fast enough to accommodate 2.4 million new people a year. Not anywhere close. This is something that people need to pay attention to. This is something that we need to talk about very loudly. Mr. Carney committed to balancing our immigration system. This is not balanced. This is totally out of control, reckless, and damaging.
This is when you know things have gotten bad. There is a mass deportation sign over a highway. This was done yesterday. Yesterday it was -15. That's how you know Canadians have had enough. They are literally willing to go out there and freeze their butts off just to hold up a sign that says mass deportation. And here's the crazy thing. This video will get more views than they got while they were holding it on the highway. And you want to know why? Because I'm in full support of this. And not for law-abiding citizens. For immigrants, for criminals, for people who are raiding our country, for our resources that are taking up our healthcare, that are taking up hospital beds. If you're illegal in the country, that means you shouldn't be here. If it were me, I would literally use our army. That's why it's called illegal immigration. Your visa's expired and you're not a contributing member to a society. You're not working. You're stealing. You're a criminal. Bye-bye.
Canada is so cooked. So on Wednesday, it was announced that thousands of Canadians, foreign immigrants, will be able to sponsor their parents and their grandparents from their home countries to come to Canada. So what that means for Canadians is that there are potentially going to be thousands of people coming into Canada that are seniors, that are requiring healthcare, that have also never paid into the healthcare system. So they are going to be using the healthcare systems that are already depleted and that are already failing the Canadians who are already in Canada, and the ones that are paying for these health systems. So if you think healthcare is bad now, just wait another 6 months to a year when all these seniors have an influx into Canada, require the healthcare systems, and are using them as well. Thank you to the Liberal government, and thank you for the people who voted for the Liberal government. You are furthering Canada's complete demise.
Hello family, welcome once again to the channel. Today we are going to have a very honest discussion, which is also a very educative discussion for the Canadians. And disclaimer, this video is just for information purposes only. We are not after or targeting immigrants. We are just stating facts and also blaming the Canadian government, but not the immigrants. So guys, as you all know, immigration crisis in Canada is becoming a national crisis, and actually it's now a pandemic. Canada is taking in more immigrants without even letting go of some of these immigrants, and unfortunately Canadians are alleging that this the crisis of immigration is just they are inviting these immigrants so that they can vote in the government. That is actually what Canadians are saying. And what happens when a country takes in more immigrants without even doing a proper background check? It's like developing a swimming pool. Then that swimming pool, it only has an inlet, but it doesn't have an outlet. So it means that it will start flooding whenever it is full, because there is no outlet to get to, or to send away the dirt and the dirty water that settles at the bottom. This is exactly what is happening in Canada right now. So Canadians are pissed. Canadians are angered. Canadians are outraged by the immigration crisis that is happening in Canada. In this video, I want you to watch this video to the end so that you can understand why Canadians are outraged, so that you can understand why Canadians are calling for a Canada First March on January 10th. Then at the end, I shall be sharing my opinions too.
Canada might soon have the power to deport or cancel visas in bulk. And guess which countries are at the center of it? According to CBC, Ottawa is reviewing a plan to give immigration officials broad new powers, letting them cancel or suspend entire groups of visa applications or approvals. The government says it's about fighting fraud and fake asylum claims, especially after a spike in questionable student visa files from India and Bangladesh. Officials argue too many applicants arrive on study or visitor permits and then switch to refugee claims once inside Canada. But critics say this could unfairly punish genuine students and workers, people who followed the process, paid all the fees, and just want a fair chance to come or stay here legally. Right now, it's not law yet, but if approved, it could completely change how Canada handles visas for South Asian countries. Do you think Canada's cracking down for the right reasons or crossing a dangerous line? Tell us in the comments.
I'm past the point about caring about anyone's feelings when I say this, but we are now at a point where we are going to lose hundreds of thousands of jobs in Canada because of Donald Trump's tariffs. We have over 4 million temporary residents in this country. Let me remind you, 50,000 students didn't show up to their first day of class because they fraudulently came into the country, said they were coming here on a student visa so they can come into the country, and now they're taking Canadian jobs. Now more than ever, we need mass deportations. And we need to slow down immigration because our economy cannot sustain the growth of immigrants coming in and the decline in the economy that's going to happen with the massive job losses. Deport, deport, deport.
I want to talk about the immigration crisis going on in Canada. Now, you could look at this a couple different ways. The way I tend to look at it is I don't blame the people coming here. Are they responsible for a lot of the shit that's going on in this country? 100%. Are they taking a lot of jobs from young Canadians? Are they lowering the quality of life here because their living standard, their quality of life in the countries they're coming from are down here. Ours are up here. So even if they go from here to here, we're still all the way up here. I don't blame them because they're used to living like crap, okay? And it may sound rude, but it's the truth. They're used to living in terrible circumstances. So when they come to a place like this is already paradise for them. All right, our bad in a first world country is their good, all right? And their good is our bad. So it doesn't mesh. The difference now is the people coming here, they're not like the people that came here 40, 50, 60 years ago. The people that came from Europe, mostly, their quality of life, their standards were through the roof. They were up here. So when they came here, of course there was friction, like anybody that goes to a new country. The people that live here, they're going to be a little bit upset in the beginning, but it was like this. Everybody meshed very fast, and it's because the people coming from those countries, they were not coming from third world countries. They were coming from countries that already had a high level of standards. The only difference is that there was World War II that took place. So it was very easy for them to mesh with Canadian life and standards. Now you have the people coming from these other countries, and there's so much friction because they don't raise their standards to the level that we are at here. And it's just such a terrible situation to be in as a country because we've already let millions of people in. And I'm afraid it's going to stay like this forever, where the quality of life in Canada that was once here, because theirs is down here, it's going to be somewhere here. So it's always going to be a lot lower than it was beforehand. And you might think that that's rude. I just think that's a fact. And like I said, I don't blame people from those countries coming here because if I were them, I would do the same thing. Why wouldn't you want to come to a place like Canada or the US when you're living in a terrible country with horrible circumstances? The problem is when you come here, you should raise the bar, but they don't do that. That's the main issue. They don't do that. They don't adopt our way of life, our culture, nothing. They come here and they set up their little, it's almost like their little ghettos where they don't have to adapt and change. And that is why you're seeing such backlash and everybody's pissed off in this country.
Immigration problem. We have millions of visas expiring in Canada, and nearly half of all Canadians believe that mass deportations are necessary to stop the unauthorized immigration that's coming into the country. And the immigration minister that created this mess, Mark Miller, he said we didn't turn down the taps fast enough. That's the admission of the Liberal government opening up Canada to millions of immigrants. 3 million in just 3 years. And as many of you know, I've been covering this for years, and I've said it before, and it's finally making it to mainstream media where our infrastructure can't keep up with the population demand. And despite warnings, many guest workers, temporary workers, and international students are in many ways showing that they have no intention of leaving the country when their visas expire. Mark Miller admitted that something needs to be done, but they're relying on people leaving voluntarily. Now, the Conservative government got information from the Immigration Department, and they said that the number of temporary visas that are going to expire in 2025 is 4.9 million. More than 1 out of every 10 residents in Canada is going to have their visa expire this year.
Can I ask you a serious question? Why is it that half of the country is okay with immigrants flooding the country, immigrants that are not from Western countries and do not share Western values and principles? They come into this country, they don't assimilate with the population. So they don't really give a shit about what's going on in Canada. They don't care. On top of that, everybody is complaining how they can't afford a house. Liberals, conservatives, NDP, doesn't matter. Everybody's saying they can't afford a house. People are living paycheck to paycheck. Inflation is outpacing their salary or their income. All the while, the immigrants that come here, they get paid through our tax-paying dollars, $2,000 to $3,000 per family. They get to stay in hotels valued at $100 to $200 a night, free medical care, all these things. They're going to vote Liberal, which is bullshit. Even if they were conservative voters, it's impossible to compete if you're the opposing party. You're the party that is for inviting all of these people in. They're all going to become citizens. Who do you think they're going to vote for? They're going to vote for the party that brought them in. And the Canadians that have been living here 40, 50, 60 years, 100 years, their families have been living here, they get screwed. I honestly don't see how you guys don't see that. I don't understand it. The Liberal government and big government in general, they want to create the problem. They want to break your legs. And then when you can't stand or walk, you have to go begging for them to hand you a pair of crutches or a wheelchair or a walker. That's what they do. They impoverish you. Doesn't matter if you're making $100,000, $200,000 a year. They are going to put more taxes on you, jack up the cost of everything, and you have no other option but to go hat in hand begging for them to help you. And what happens then? They control your entire way of life because you are so dependent on the government. And that is why all of this has been happening and why everybody is complaining. But the problem is, half of the country, even though they are part of the problem and complain about this, they vote for the same party and the same policies that have destroyed this country, and they don't see it yet. Wake up, guys.
Stats Canada is reporting a record population drop in Q3 of this year. Currently, between July 1st and October 1st, there's been a population drop of around 76,000 people. And they say the main reason is reduction on non-permanent residences. Face value, that seems like a step in the right direction for Canadians, seeing as most Canadians are not really impressed with how the government has handled immigration. And this is a Twitter poll, and if you don't want to believe that, this is a Stats Canada poll. 53%, that's the highest, and I couldn't go further back in how low this was. This is the highest it's been since the 90s. But like everything that the media says, you got to take it with a grain of salt. You got to do your own research, and I'm very glad I did, because first hearing this, I was like, the way they're wording some of these things and the numbers just seem a little funny. First, when you hear population decrease, you think of two things: people leaving or people dying. And they're saying that PRs are the main reason for this population reduction. So are people leaving? No, it's just that their PRs are expiring. And this is the first time that we've had more PRs expire than that we've ever issued. And what they did leave out of these articles is that the number of asylum claims has gone up for the 15th consecutive quarter. Now, why would you leave that out? They wrote this article to gas you into believing that people are actually leaving and they're getting immigration under control, when in all reality, they have no idea what they're doing. Bro, I went to the CBSA's website to see what the deportation numbers are looking like, and I know it's a little bit hard to read, but it's going to be here highlighted in the blue. That's the ones from this year so far, and those numbers do not correlate with what Stats Canada is telling us. And then I realized it's Stats Canada. They're strictly dealing with the numbers that we, the people, are providing them. A lot of these articles are going to be written in a certain way to make it seem like people on study permits are leaving, people that are non-permanent residents are leaving, when in reality, the asylum numbers just keep going up and up. No one's going anywhere. They say numbers don't lie, but I feel like in this case, they might actually do. Because this number, 41 million, I don't know, like how many people are here on expired visas? Have fled the deportation? Are on, like, haven't left after they finished their study permits? Who knows? So this 41 million number, I ain't buying it.
Canada doesn't even run criminal background checks on applicants for most visas. While in fact, if these immigrants need asylum at all, often they need asylum from law enforcement in their own countries, which is why they're coming here, or coming to Canada in this case. And this is a point that the Foreign Affairs Minister of India made himself publicly a few months ago. Even he's looking at Canada and wondering what the hell they're doing. And he warned that they are importing a lot of criminals from his country with no vetting whatsoever.
Number of gangland people, number of people with organized crime links from Punjab have been made welcome in Canada. We have been telling Canada, saying, look, these are wanted criminals from India. You have given them visas. They have come, many of them in false documentation. And yet you allow them to live there. If you decide to import for political purposes people with very dubious, actually very negative background, there will be issues.
Toronto, I hope you're ready. We're going to start 2026 with a bang. Canada First movement going to set the tone for the year. We are holding another rally at Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto, 1 p.m. to stop mass immigration, to start deportations, and to secure and close our borders. At this point, guys, we need patriots to rise. You take a look across Europe, they're rising up by the thousands, guys. By the thousands. It's time to be bold. It's time to be brave. It's time to put it all on the line. Is this country worth fighting for to you? Is this country worth the battle, worth your time, worth the effort to bring this country back to its glory? Is the next generation worth fighting for to you? Because it is to me. That's what this is all about. We're fighting for our future, our culture, our identity, our way of life. The next generation of children coming up that have to see this garbage. We have to provide them a better future than what we had. So it's up to us, the people. No politicians coming to save you, your family, this country. It's not happening. It's up to us. So at the end of the day, guys, Canada First movement is coming back to Toronto. We're going to start 2026 with a bang. Guys, I'm not playing around anymore. This is full steam ahead. Canada First movement has so much coming up. In 2026 is gonna be the year we make political change in this country. 2026 is the year we make change, guys, and it's up to all of us. Every single one of you. So guys, come support the Canada First movement. Come support myself and the rest of the patriots that have been supporting me since the beginning. Every time we're out here, we grow. Every time we're on the streets of Toronto, we grow. And I ask for any leaders, anyone in other provinces, towns, or cities, if you want to participate, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to be a part of something special, get in contact with me. It's time to look within yourselves. Are you willing to put it all on the line? Are you willing to fight until the end? At the end of the day, guys, this is how it's done. No politician is coming to save you, your family, or this country. It takes the people. It takes Canada first. January 10th, 2026, Toronto, Ontario, Nathan Phillips Square. Put the date in your calendar, mark it down, take the day. It's a Saturday. Let's make magic happen, guys. Poster will be in this video. You have any questions, feel free to contact myself, and go check out the Canada First Movement.ca website to keep up with our newsletter, current events, and upcoming events that Canada First is going to be having. It's our time, guys. Let's make it happen. Cheers. Psst.
You know, if I was a Canadian today, I will literally consider that last video, and on January 10th, I'll go and march for my country, because it has reached a point that Canada, the politicians doesn't care and doesn't give a solution to any problem at all. We have very many problems, but the bigger problem right now is immigration crisis. They need these people in the country so that they know Canadians are tired. They know Canadians are fed up with them, and they know Canadians might send them home. So they need very many immigrants to keep them in office. This is actually the issue number one. The issue number two, guys, do you know what really happens when a country takes in more immigrants? It means that the immigrants will share our schools with Canadians. Of course, they will share their hospital, the transport system, they will share the EBT, they will share any amnesty and every Canadian resource that is there. This is what is actually happening. Another thing, the fact is that if immigrants come into our country, most of them, they are coming to work, actually. Most of them are coming for greener pastures. Indians are coming into Canada for greener pastures. So it means that they are taking our jobs. That's actually what happens. And what happens at the job scene? Well, if immigrants are there and they are offering cheap labor than Canadians, it means that Canadians won't get employed anyway, leave alone taking their jobs. Do you know what happens when many immigrants come into our country? It means that they carry their culture to our country. If they are Islam, they come and do the things in our country. If they are Indians, well, you will start seeing Indian festivals in our country and Indian cultures, Indian norms in our country. You already see that happening. You see after Diwali what happened? Well, you guessed so. Do you know what happens when immigrants come into our country? Well, overpopulation, overcrowding. It means that we need more houses. We need more houses to host these immigrants. But what is happening in Canada? Immigrants are coming, but we have no proper housing, or we have the number of houses is decreasing, leading to the housing crisis in Canada. So when Canadians say that there is a immigration crisis in Canada, it is actually true. The number of immigrants that are coming into Canada right now is at a very high level. And the government is trying to cover all this up by saying there is a population decrease in Canada, which is not actually true according to Canadians. It means that Canada and Canadians are outraged. They are fed up and they want the government to dig outlets, to at least construct outlets on these swimming pools they are building, to let go some immigrants. When these immigrants come into Canada, let's say for the example, a video that I talked about yesterday, the international students visa. These students are not attending classes. They are a no-show. They come into Canada in masses and they end up working at Tim Hortons and all other facilities. It means that they are just using the students visa to work in Canada. And when the visa expires, do you know what they do? They pretend they seek asylum. They end up being refugee. they end up living in Canada with expired visas, and the Canadian government, well, it does nothing about that. It's just cool. So it means that if a country takes in more immigrants, it means that they will consider the immigrants rather than the Canadians themselves. That is why you are seeing some Canadians saying that Canada does not love them. Politicians does not take care or care about them. They don't about Canadians. So Canadians are just calling for a reform. And that reforms they are saying, it starts on January 10th, of which I don't know if Canadians will attend, but surely we as people who love seeing Canada, actually Canada is a country that personally I wish that I would visit Canada and do my videos there so that you guys can see. I really, really love Canada a lot. And when I see such things happening in Canada, well, I give it an option. I say, nah, let them fix the country first. So change begin with a Canadian. It doesn't begin with these immigrants. And guys, don't blame the immigrants. The immigrants have been just offered a loophole, their dream country. They've been just offered the opportunity to go and do whatever they want to do in Canada. You should blame the government and the immigration sector that does not censor these immigrants. And the immigration crisis, well, it will continue since further notice unless or until there is will to change inside the government. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.